Have you noticed Kate Middleton wearing jewels lately that no one has ever seen before? Not even on Queen Elizabeth II? What if I told you she's been digging through royal vaults and finding pieces that vanished 50 years ago? Jewelry experts thought some of these will be hidden in royal vaults forever. Catherine's wearing treasures that are rarely seen, and you want to know where they came from. Today, I'm showing you secret jewels Kate's uncovered from the depths of the royal vaults. Pieces the world forgot existed. Let's unlock the vault. She's not just wearing heirlooms that get passed down generation to generation. She's actively excavating pieces that have been hidden for half a century. We're talking about jewellery that Queen Elizabeth II owned for her entire 70-year reign, but wore maybe once or twice, or never at all. Jewellery historians had written off as possibly lost or in private collection, whereabouts unknown. Let's start with perhaps the most spectacular piece in her collection. In 2014, Catherine appeared at a state banquet wearing a necklace that made jewellery experts do a double take. This wasn't just any diamond necklace. This was the Nizam of Hyderabad necklace, and it hadn't been seen in public for decades. Now, you might be thinking, well, Queen Elizabeth must have worn it all the time, right? Wrong. Despite owning this necklace for 67 years, there are very few confirmed sightings of Elizabeth wearing it. Maybe a handful of times, in the 1950s and 60s. Then it essentially vanished from public view for over 40 years before Catherine brought it back. So what exactly is this piece, and why is it so significant? The Nizam of Hyderabad necklace is an absolute masterpiece of mid-20th century jewellery design. It was created by Cartier in 1947, and here's what makes it so extraordinary. The necklace features a platinum setting. Platinum was the precious metal of choice for high-end jewellery in the 1940s because it's stronger than gold and holds diamonds more securely. The design includes approximately 50 brilliant cut diamonds, arranged in a delicate, scrolling floral pattern. These aren't small diamonds, we're talking about substantial stones that catch light from every angle. But the real showstopper is the centerpiece. Suspended from the necklace is a detachable double-drop pendant. The upper drop features a large emerald-cut diamond, and hanging below it is an even more impressive pear-shaped diamond. Both of these centerpiece diamonds are several carats each, possibly 8 to 10 carats for the larger stone. So where did this magnificent necklace come from? The story is fascinating. In 1947, Princess Elizabeth II was preparing to marry Philip Mountbatten. News of the royal wedding spread around the world, and gifts poured in from heads of state, dignitaries, and wealthy admirers. Among them was the Nizam of Hyderabad, at the time one of the richest men in the world. The Nizam made an incredibly generous gesture. He gifted the platinum and diamond necklace and also a matching tiara, which sadly no longer exists in its original form. The necklace was delivered to Elizabeth just before her wedding on November 20th, 1947. It became one of her wedding gifts and officially part of the royal collection. Then, in 2014, Catherine wore it to a state banquet, and the jewellery world erupted. Since then, she's worn it multiple times, to the 2014 state banquet for the President of Singapore, to diplomatic receptions, and to other formal evening events. She's made it one of her signature pieces for white tie occasions. What Catherine understood is that this necklace is perfect for the modern era. Its Art Deco-influenced design looks contemporary, even though it's over 75 years old. The platinum setting gives it a cool, elegant look that works beautifully with modern evening gowns. And that detachable centerpiece? Catherine uses it strategically, sometimes wearing the full necklace for maximum impact, sometimes keeping it simpler without the pendant. But if you think a 40-year gap is impressive, wait until you hear about the next piece. Because Catherine uncovered a tiara that Queen Elizabeth never wore, and it was last worn in the 1970s by Princess Anne. and then never wore again for over 55 years. In April 2011, the world watched as Catherine walked down the aisle of Westminster Abbey on her wedding day, and on her head was a tiara that made jewellery experts pause and ask questions. This wasn't one of the grand, imposing tiaras that Queen Elizabeth wore regularly. This was something different, something smaller, more delicate. It was the Cartier Halo tiara, and here's what's fascinating. This piece had an interesting history of being overlooked. It was considered too small, too modest for major royal occasions. Yet Catherine chose it for one of the most watched weddings in history. And since that day, she's rarely worn it again publicly. So what exactly is this piece? And why does it have such a unique place in royal jewellery history? The tiara was made by Cartier in 1936, during the height of the Art Deco period. And you can see that influence in every detail. The design features a scroll motif, these elegant, curved and flowing patterns that were signature Art Deco style. Now, here's where the craftsmanship gets really impressive. The tiara contains 739 brilliant cut diamonds and 149 baguette cut diamonds. The brilliant cut diamonds are round stones that maximize sparkle. They're set in the scroll patterns and create that incredible flash of light you see in photographs. The baguette cut diamonds are rectangular stones, and they're used to outline and define the scroll work. They create clean lines and structure. So where did this beautiful piece come from? The story begins in 1936. King George VI, who was then the Duke of York, commissioned this tiara from Cartier. He ordered it as a gift for his wife, Elizabeth, who would later become the Queen Mother. This was before they became King and Queen, remember. On the Queen Mother's 18th birthday in 1944, she gave this tiara to her daughter, Princess Elizabeth II, as a birthday gift. So this piece passed from mother to daughter, while Elizabeth was still a teenager, years before she became Queen. When the Queen offered Catherine her choice of tiaras for the wedding, there were certainly grander options available. Catherine could have chosen something more substantial, more impressive, more attention-grabbing. But she chose the Cartier Halo. And I think that choice reveals something important about Catherine's approach to royal style. First, the scale was perfect for her. Catherine was 29 years old, a relatively young bride by royal standards. She wasn't trying to look like an established queen. She was a woman marrying into the family. The modest proportions of the halo tiara suited that position beautifully. Second, the Art Deco design is timelessly elegant. Where some of the larger tiaras can look dated or overly traditional, the Cartier Halo has clean lines and geometric patterns that look modern, even though it's from 1936. It photographed beautifully with Catherine's contemporary wedding dress design. The wedding was watched by an estimated 2 billion people worldwide, and suddenly this forgotten Cartier tiara that had sat unused for 55 years became one of the most famous tiaras in the world. More people recognised the Cartier Halo after Catherine's wedding than had ever seen it in the previous 75 years of its existence. Now we've seen a necklace that disappeared for 40 years and a tiara that was considered too modest for a queen but perfect for a princess. But the final piece in Catherine's collection might be the most touching because it connects 4 generations of royal women and reveals a very personal side of Queen Elizabeth that the public rarely saw. The Lover's Knot tiara is probably Catherine's most famous piece of jewellery. It's certainly the one that generates the most emotional response. And while it's well known that Princess Diana wore this tiara frequently in the 1980s, what most people don't realise is that this piece has a much longer, more complex history. And it disappeared for nearly 30 years before Catherine brought it back. This is a tiara that tells a story about inheritance, style, and how jewellery can carry emotional weight across generations. The tiara features 19 diamond arches. Each arch is made of brilliant cut diamonds set in gold and silver. This is called silver top gold, and it was the standard technique for high-quality jewellery in the early 20th century. The silver creates a brighter, whiter appearance for the diamonds, while the gold underneath provides strength and prevents tarnishing. Here's where it gets really interesting. Suspended from each diamond arch is a single hanging pearl. These are natural saltwater pearls, not cultured, and they're perfectly matched for size, colour, and lustre. Finding 19 natural pearls of this quality would be extremely difficult and expensive today. Each pearl hangs from a delicate diamond-set cap and moves independently, creating this beautiful cascading effect when the wearer moves. Between the arches are lover's knot designs. These are figure 8 or infinity symbol patterns, also set with diamonds. This is where the tiara gets its name. The lover's knot is a traditional symbol of eternal love, and having them repeated throughout the design creates both symbolism and visual rhythm. This tiara has a complicated origin story because there are actually 2 lover's knot tiaras in royal history, and they're often confused. The tiara Catherine wears today was commissioned by Queen Mary in 1913 or 1914. Mary saw an earlier lover's knot tiara that had belonged to her grandmother, Princess Augusta of Hesse, and she loved the design so much that she asked Garrard to create a similar piece for her. Garrard made this version slightly larger and more elaborate than the original. They used diamonds that Mary already owned, likely some from her impressive collection of inherited gems, and added the 19 perfectly matched natural pearls. The result was this spectacular showpiece that Mary wore regularly throughout her reign. When Mary died in 1953, the tiara passed to her granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II. Elizabeth wore it occasionally in the 1950s and early 1960s. Then, in 1981, when Prince Charles married Diana, Elizabeth gave the lover's knot tiara to Diana as a wedding gift. Diana wore this tiara frequently throughout the 1980s. It became one of her signature pieces. She wore it to state banquets, to royal tours, to gala events. It appeared in some of her most famous photographs. December 2015, Catherine wore the lover's knot tiara to the annual diplomatic reception at Buckingham Palace. The response was immediate and emotional. Here was Diana's daughter-in-law wearing Diana's most famous tiara. The symbolism was obvious and touching. William's wife honouring his mother's memory by bringing her signature piece back into the light. But Catherine wasn't trying to be Diana. She styled it differently, pairing it with more modern jewellery choices, wearing her hair in different styles, choosing different coloured gowns. She made it clear this wasn't imitation, it was continuation. Since 2015, Catherine has worn this tiara regularly. It's become one of her most frequent choices for white tie events. She's worn it to state banquets, to diplomatic receptions, to evening galas. She's made it her own while still honouring its connection to Diana. What Catherine has accomplished with this piece is remarkable. She took a tiara that had been locked away for 25 years, too emotionally loaded for anyone to touch, and she rehabilitated it. She made it possible for this masterpiece to be seen and appreciated again without erasing Diana's memory or trying to replace her. So there you have it. 3 spectacular pieces of jewellery that Catherine has rescued from decades of storage. What Catherine is doing goes beyond just wearing beautiful jewellery. She's acting as a curator of royal history, bringing forgotten treasures back into public view. She's making decisions about which pieces deserve to be seen again, which styles work for the modern era, and which heirlooms should be preserved through use rather than through storage. She's generating interest in royal jewellery history just by reaching deeper into the vaults than her predecessors did. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Catherine's vault excavations, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. I've got more royal jewellery mysteries coming up, and trust me, the stories only get more fascinating from here. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, sometimes the most spectacular treasures are the ones that have been hidden in plain sight for decades. I'll see you in the next one.